Hello viewers. Today I would like to share with you story of Steve Jobs' life. The story is from the autobiography of Steve Jobs, Becoming Steve Jobs. Well, Steve Jobs, those of you who do not know Steve Jobs, was the founder of Apple iPhone. He was one of the best innovators or computer tech entrepreneurs, if we can say. He started his career in early 1970s when he invented Apple computer in his early 20s, and he was a huge success when they developed the first computer with his friend Steve Wozniak. They both were working in garage of Steve Jobs' father, and they invented the first Apple, and that Apple was sold through a shopkeeper, and they contracted him that they will produce the computers for the home, and then that shopkeeper was selling the product. So most of the people say that how come he could invent a computer at the age of 20. The real reason behind Steve Jobs being skilled to make the computers or to do the tech startup, all these things, was his father. His father was a car mechanic and a craftsman. So his father had a garage, and in that garage he taught Steve Jobs about opening different machines, about opening the cars, and then kind of making them again, repairing them. So this was something which helped Steve Jobs throughout his life. So in early 20s he was a big success. He got funding for the Apple, and Apple was a worth $1 billion company. Then as the Steve Wozniak was also young and Steve Jobs was also young, they were thinking that they need a new CEO. They hired a new CEO, and then after that Steve Jobs was mainly focusing on Apple III and Macintosh. So his focus was on creating a computer for the business people. In the late 20s, in the 80s, when a different person was operating as a CEO, Steve Jobs was mainly looking after the Macintosh project. He invested too much on Apple product. He was continuously looking for a new innovation, and he was unable to produce something great as per the market need, and this led to many issues in the Apple. And ultimately the CEO of the Apple decided to fire Steve Jobs from his job, from his own company. So Steve Jobs fight back, and then the matter went to the board of the company, and they decided to fire Steve Jobs. In this way, Steve Jobs was fired from his own company in the late 20s, in his early 30s. So what he did after that, from here comes the real story, is that he did not give up. He started working on other projects, which included a company called Next. He was mainly focusing on producing a computer for the academic people or maybe for the universities. But in parallel with that, he also had shares in Pixar, which was producing different animated movies, and that was the main thing which attracted Steve Jobs. And Pixar was continuously making the like Sherlock Holmes series in late 80s, one of the best series, one of the most popular animated series. So in the 90s, what happened is that Apple brought the Pixar, and in this way Steve Jobs came back to Apple. And then in Apple he made the different applications, just like iTunes or maybe iPad, and then which further led into the development of iPhone. This is this story of Steve Jobs, that how he started his career and how he had the downs and ups in his life. But the one thing is from his autobiography is that he is considered one of the pioneers in tech industry. He is one of those people who started this startup journey, and he is one of the best innovators. He is someone who always followed his heart. So he is followed by many people, and many people consider him as an ideal person. He is celebrated on different occasions. Many books are written on him. But the one lesson from this video, if you can get, is that he never gave up. Even when you are fired from your own company, still he was looking for something new. And throughout his life, he focused on innovation. And the best part is that he believed in all these things, that he can do it, and he finally did it. So that's what I wanted to share today. If you find it useful, please share it with others. Thank you so much.